these are ancient Chinese mosques. They are beautiful. And those of you who've been there, I think that you're like me, that when you go into them, you don't want to come out. You pray there, you say, I don't want to leave. And you go through gardens to get there, which are Zen gardens to empty your heart. So your anxieties are gone. When you go to the mosque, you don't think about anything but your Creator. And this is very Chinese. And they did it also by the explicit permission of the emperor. Because Islam, when it came into China, which is in the days of the rightly guided caliphs, probably, some say the prophets, they were an official Chinese religion from the beginning. And the emperor asked for armies. He said, send me your Muslim armies. And I want them to defend me against the Mongols, against the Tibetans, and I will honor them. And he did. And so we stood by the Chinese emperor. Okay, Muslim today is like, what? But that's what we did. And in fact, he said, bring the soldiers, but don't bring any women. So what's he got in mind? I'm going to marry you to Chinese women, beautiful Chinese women. And then we'll do it again and again. So after a while, you basically become Chinese. You can still be Muslims. But I don't want you to bring your Persian or Arab women. Come and I'll marry you. You can bring soldiers that are not married. Okay, that's what he did. Chinese are smart. They're very smart. Let's keep going. Okay, that's a minaret. Again, this is what we call northeastern China. You've got different cultural zones in China. Northeastern, northwestern. They're different. And then southern. They're very different, but they're all beautiful. Okay, and that's their minaret because Chinese don't like tall buildings. So they don't want you to have a big, big minaret. That's in the northeast. Keep going. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, stop. Go back, please. Okay. So, Chinese, it's difficult for the Chinese to say some things we say. Like Islam, they say Yisilan. Okay, so, and then you say Yisilan, and of course you write it like fragrant orchids or something, and they read it Yisilan. So that it's nice, not Donald Duck. Okay, but they use these different ideograms and they read Yisilan. But that means to the Chinese, you're not Chinese because I don't understand what Yisilan is. So is that good? I mean, you have to think about this, brothers and sisters, because Islam terrifies most of the white people out there, except for the really cool ones, right? But a lot of them is like, you're a Muslim? Oh my God, gonna have a heart attack. Sisters wearing those terrorists. Look at all of them. That's what they are, aren't they? A lot of them are that way, and you've experienced that. I know my wife has, and a lot of others have. Okay? So maybe we also could use Islam because we love it, but we could also find another way to refer to it. And that's what the Chinese did. So they said, it is Islam, if you can pronounce it, fantastic. But it's also Qing Zhen Jiao, the religion of Qing, which is pure, and Zhen, which is real. The religion of the pure and the real. Okay, like you really won big time. Because then the Chinese is like, oh, really? Like that sounds a lot like ancient Chinese religion. Sounds a lot like Confucius and Lao Tzu. Really, tell me more. See, that's smart. And they did that in all kinds of things. So, for example, you say the unseen for ghaib. You can't say that in Chinese. So they say the color world and the no color world. Because that's what Chinese understand. The unseen means there's no colors. They're kind of smart, actually. Chinese are kind of smart. Okay, so let's go. So that's in Qingzhenjiao. Then now we've come down into the south. This mosque is incredible. This mosque is in Shanghai. And this mosque is, now you're in the south. See, the colors are different, the woodwork is different, it's red, although all of it is by order of the emperor. And you want to know how you can tell that? Go to the next slide. You see that? Well, you can't see it very well, but on that wall, there is, of course, a black roof, or black little roofing, right? But that's actually a dragon. Again, if you go there, you can see that clearly. It's a dragon. Why you put a dragon on the mosque? Why do you think? Does that mean this belongs to the emperor of China? You steal anything from this mosque, you break any window, oh my God, you've got to deal with the emperor and he'll cut your head off. Because he's basically got one punishment. Cut their head off. See, so like you try to do anything in this mosque, but you've got to go for the black dragon, and that is the emperor. So it's guarded by the black dragon. Let's keep going. This is the same mosque. You see how they, and you know this, the Chinese Arabic calligraphy, which they developed over 1,400 years. And it's Arabic, but it does fit in with Chinese, doesn't it?
Yes.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Keep going. See? And then you see, they developed this incredible Chinese Arabic calligraphy. But, and you've probably seen the calligraphers do that, because they come to visit us sometimes. Right? And they do it usually 2 strokes. Right? And then they put Chinese calligraphy, classical Chinese calligraphy, that tells you a beautiful story about what this means. And then he puts his Chinese authorization and his Muslim authorization, Islam and the cultural imperative. Because the Chinese love calligraphy, and so do we. See, that's beautiful. And now you're speaking to them. You want them also to be able to read. And I've been to China and taken Chinese guides who are non-Muslims. They've never been in a mosque, and they're just reading everything. Primordial religion from the foundation of heaven. It's 4 idioms. Primordial religion from the foundation of heaven. Wow. Good job, isn't it? Isn't it? It is. Let's keep going. Okay, what are those? Looks like Chinese, doesn't it? But it's Arabic upside down. And it's the Asma al-Husna. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, al-Malik al-Quddus, al-Salam al-Mu'min. Is that allowed? Yeah, really. Don't worry about it. But see, it's the Chinese like that. They like that. Let's keep going. Okay, now we want to come to Nusantara, which is Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. Let's keep going. Okay, now this is a typical traditional Nusantara mosque. This is actually, I believe, from Indonesia. Okay, now that is called a sacred mountain in their traditions. And this was sacred to them before Islam came. So you're going to have 3 tiers, 4 tiers, 5 tiers. And, it's very good for the rain. It's very good for the heat and the humidity. And, also then it's sacred in the eyes of the people. So that's smart. Let's keep going. Here's another one. I think they're beautiful. Here's another one. Sacred mountains. Cosmic mountains, actually, it's called. Cosmic mountain. Let's take the next one. Another cosmic mountain. Don't you think that's beautiful? And if you go inside of them, they are so fantastic. You think there's a big carpet on the floor? No. It's marble. Because again, it's humid there. Carpets like this, they're not nice after a while. So they want to have it marble. Okay, and then people bring in prayer mats and things like that. Okay, let's keep going. Another one, keep going. Okay, now that is a big what? Drum. Outside the mosque. Cultural convention. What's it about? Calling to prayer. Haram, isn't it? Do you think they don't call the adhan? Yes, they do. But they have jungle. They have thick forests. And sound doesn't carry well. The sound of the human voice doesn't carry well in the jungle. But drums do. So they have drum language. Boom, boom. And then they have certain beats that say, come and gather. Other ones say there's danger. Other ones say there's time for prayer. they speak the language of drums. Many people do that, in Africa especially. Drum language. Okay? And so they put up these huge drums. That is an ancient Indonesian Nusantara tradition. And we adopt it because that is a cultural imperative. This is something good. It suits the situation in those lands. Okay? And we're not going to stop calling the adhan. We do that too. But we also do this as well. Let's keep going. Okay, now here, if you look closely, you'll see that going into the mosque, this is typical in Nusantara, that you've got to wade through a pool of water. Well, what's that bid'ah all about? Haram, right? Did the Prophet do that? Okay, why do they do it? Well, because they are a rice civilization. They work in rice paddies. And rice paddies can be dry much of the year. But in the beginning, the rice paddy is muddy. Very muddy. And you've got to go barefoot. And then you've got this peasant coming to the mosque with mud all over his feet. So you're going to beat him and say, wash your feet, wash your feet. No. So he's got to go make wudu, usually. He probably doesn't have it. So he's got to walk through a pool of water like that to go make wudu. And of course, when he makes wudu, is he going to wash his feet? Okay, and then he's got to walk through it coming out. And then he's got to walk through it coming into the mosque. So basically, he's not going to track. Okay? And you're going to have to take off your shoes too, because unless you can jump really well, you're going to have to walk in the water. Okay? Now, there's a big problem with that. And that is that the water gets filled with all kinds of organic things. And you get yucky larvae and mosquitoes. So what are you going to do culturally? Put fish in there. You see beautiful fish. They can be those, what they call them, koi or whatever. Beautiful fish. And you know what? If you're hungry, you're going to eat that fish. See, so this is also cultural imperative. Is there anything wrong with it? No, this is right. This needs to be respected. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now, we're talking about the 9 saints. And we're especially talking here about Kali Jaga, whom I love. And I know one of his great, great, great descendants. Her name is Shanti. And she lives in Jakarta. And Kali Jaga was, my goodness, you can't believe his story. We won't go into it in great detail, but he was a great saint. He was like a Robin Hood. And then he became a great saint. And then he takes Islam to the Javanese. He was an aristocrat, very high family. But he takes Islam to the peasants, the rice peasants. And he teaches them Islam through shadow puppets. Those are shadow puppets. And those are his puppets. You see how skinny they are? How long their noses are? That's because there was another saint named Sunangiri, I think. And Sunangiri says haram to make these puppets. Because in the beginning he had little fat puppets, traditional ones. So he goes back to the drawing board and he makes these and he says, Sunangiri, do you think these could live? But I don't think so. He said, I'm going to use these then. So this is Kali Jaga, and they're very beautiful. And then they all tell stories. They'll tell stories about the great encounter that you've read about between Hamza and Krishna. Or Vishnu, or between Yusuf and one of the other heroes or gods. Of course, all made up, right? But that's the way they talk to the people. And then they teach Islamic ethics, they teach Islamic teachings, they teach Islamic beliefs. And also they're very smart because you had mostly the people there in Indonesia were Shivite Hindus, they worship Shiva. Or they were Buddhists. So they knew what the Shivites like and what they didn't like. They knew where the Shivites get ecstatic. And so they played to that. And they knew that there are things the Shivites do that we don't like. So they left that alone. They didn't attack it. But we'll give you something beautiful. And so they bring the Shivites and the Buddhists into Islam through what they know. Again, remember Amr ibn al-As. Didn't he know the Romans pretty well? Well, they knew their people very well. And we have to know our people very well. whether they're black or white or Latino or First Nations or whatever they might be. Let's keep going. And more of his shadow puppets, more of his shadow puppets. Keep going. Okay, now here we're going to look at Thailand. Thailand has a lot of Muslims, and we'll go through it quickly, but this is a little Thai village on one of the islands. And again, you know, they're a little bit poor. Their mosque is very old, made from bamboo. But again, it fits in very beautifully. This is their imam. This is our brother Mansour. A lot of you know him. And he was there on his honeymoon. He went to Thailand with his wife, and they go to this island. They're all Muslims. They didn't know that. Of course, the Muslims were really good to them. So let's keep going. Okay, now let's go to India. There's, of course, the Taj Mahal. Keep going. Okay, now, the oldest mosques in India looked somewhat like this. This is a model. Where are these mosques to be found? Kerala. Okay, in Western India. And Islam comes to Western India really early, in the days of the successors. So these are mosques that were built by the successors, the Tabi'een. And again, they're based on cosmic mountains. A little bit different, but it's still a cosmic mountain. And I've seen about 13 of them. And they're really beautiful, really beautiful. And again, they don't jar with the local culture. They don't make a statement against the local culture. And these are the Salaf who did that. Let's keep going. Okay, now this is the Taj Mahal. This is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. And a lot of us have been told by the ideologues that this is terrible. This was a waste of money. They're not really wrong. But the thing is, this is politics. And this is culture. Because the Mughals, and I'm not saying that what they did is beyond any criticism, but they built something that is so beautiful that it enables them to rule the Hindus and the Jains easier. That's very important. That's very important. And again, what is the logo of India if it's not the Taj Mahal? See, so again, we had cultural genius. Maybe we didn't have to spend that much money on it. Maybe we could have made it a mosque instead of a mausoleum because his beloved wife died. Okay, we'll leave that for God, right? I would like to do that. You could do whatever you want. But still, cultural genius. And if you look at the Mughals of India, everything they did was that way. You look at the Muslims of Pakistan, India, geniuses, brilliant, brilliant. Let's keep going. Okay, this is the mosque. Okay, now we're going to Sri Lanka. We have any Sri Lankans here? No, I hope I don't embarrass you by asking. But this is one of my favorite mosques, the Pomegranate Mosque. Okay, and this was built by a man who we believe is a saint. He wasn't an architect. He wasn't a builder. But they had to build a really beautiful mosque in downtown Colombo. And they had very limited space. So he said, I'll copy the pomegranate. Because the pomegranate gets lots of seeds in one place, doesn't it? And then also, what's the cultural aspect? Well, the pomegranate for Sri Lankan Muslims is a symbol of Islam. Because the people who spread Islam to Sri Lanka, they came from countries where they have pomegranates. They don't have them in Sri Lanka. So they associate the pomegranate with Islam. So it's a pomegranate mosque. And I just think it's fantastic. And I wish we could go there and pray there. And look at it. Keep going. Look at that. Look at that. That's a pomegranate. Look at that. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Now we're going to go to Turkey. Okay, Islamic architecture. We believe that architecture is the supreme art. I believe that. Architecture and our Islamic art, it really begins with prayer, with the mihrab, with the voice, the writing of Quran, dress. We like to have nice clothes so that you can make wudu and you can bow. They're not too tight. So also clothes are art for us. They always were. We like to look nice. And in fact, when people don't look nice, it means they don't have self-respect. They don't have so, and we believe in honor, don't we? And therefore we dress. Of course, I'm not criticizing anyone. We live in a culture that doesn't care much about honor. It doesn't. So we dress anyway. We wouldn't have done that in the past, would we? We wouldn't have done that in the past. So we like to dress nicely. We like to dress nicely. Now, go back. Okay, so our architecture was tectonic. And does anybody know what that difficult word means, tectonic? If you're architects, you probably do. But tectonic means it fits the earth. It fits the earth. And look at that. Isn't that incredible? You see, it's built to accentuate the mountain, because God created the mountain. And you can go through the Muslim world and see this everywhere. In Turkey, in Spain, in Morocco. We are tectonic. We want to fit the earth, and we go to Rosales, this beautiful place in Spain. And there's a Moorish house there that goes back to the Muslims of Spain. I believe it was a commander's house, because you had a lot of army people in that place. And he built his house on a hill. And he didn't dig out any of the hill. He built his house over the hill. I just wish I could take you there and show it to you. Perfectly tectonic, because God created the hill. So I'm going to make my house fit the hill. And you've never been in anything like it. It is so beautiful. The airflow is natural. The light flow is incredible. And it's just, you want to be there. You want to stay there. So we were tectonic. Al-Hamra, tectonic. Modern architecture tends to be anti-tectonic. Doesn't want to fit the earth. And modern buildings, many of which are very beautiful, without any question, but they usually say, look at me, look at me, look at me. Even if I'm ugly, look at me. Whereas our buildings say, look at the heavens, look at the earth, look at the mountains. It's different, isn't it? It's different. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is, of course, Konya. And now this is not, there's a lot of Ottoman architecture here, but the main part, that turquoise, a pillar in the middle, of course you know it's Islamic, don't you? But what are they copying? Okay, let's go to the next picture. Do you see any similarity? That is an Armenian church. And so this is Seljuk. The Seljuks who were before the Ottomans, they imitate the Armenian church in their mosques. Their mosques are not Armenian churches, but they build on that in such a way that they honor the Armenians, because the Armenians were the most faithful of all the Middle East for centuries and centuries, until the 19th century with the horror of nationalism. So they want to, because we need the Armenians. A lot of Armenians, of course, become Muslims, but we want to show them we respect you, we respect your church, we defend your church. That's what we did, always. And we will also build a mosque that makes you think of how beautiful your churches are. But you know what? Ours are more beautiful. Ours, they are. Keep going. Okay, now we come to the Ottoman Turks. Okay, keep going. Okay, so that is, keep going. Okay, you know what that is, right? Hagia Sophia, the first great church of Christianity, built by Constantine the Great in the 4th century. And of course we inherited because we conquered the city of Constantinople, and actually there are very few Christians left in the city when we conquered it. So we bought it. We didn't take it, we bought it, and then we turned it into a mosque, very respectfully. And there are a lot of frescoes in it. Now it's a museum. You can see the frescoes down below. But we covered the frescoes with a type of whitewash. We didn't destroy them, because we never do that. We just cover them because we don't really want to see them. But we don't destroy them either. That's always what we do. Respect the past. Respect your people. Now the Hagia Sophia will become the conscious model of the Ottoman mosque. Every Ottoman mosque is a takeoff on Hagia Sophia. And you can say the Greek Orthodox Church. Again, just like with the Armenians, we now rule you, and the Orthodox loved us. Believe me, they did. We cleaned up the church, got rid of nepotism and corruption. Okay, the Sultan adopted the church. I will protect you. And he always did that. He protected the Jews. Okay, the Jews loved him because he protected them. Nobody else will protect you. You come to me. I'll take care of you. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so should we stop and pray Isha? Okay, let's do that. And now we go quickly to West Africa. Okay, so these are the great mosques of Mali, in Timbuktu and elsewhere. And there, of course, you have desert. You don't have rocks. You don't have trees. You have to bring them from far away. So this is how they built their mosques, out of clay. And in fact, we're told that one of the great kings of Mali, I think it's Mansa Kankan Musa, he went to pilgrimage in about 1325, and Mali was so rich in gold that he caused inflation in Cairo for 15 years. But he also got, they say, an Andalusian architect to come back with him to build mosques. But they told him, we don't want a Spanish mosque. We don't want an Andalusian mosque. We want an African mosque. So in any case, however the case may be, whatever the true story is, this is one of the great mosques of Mali. Let's take the next picture. Here you get another picture of another mosque. I mean, they're really beautiful, aren't they? And they fit in perfectly with the landscape. They're perfectly tectonic, and not only are they tectonic in terms of fitting the earth, but also the color. So they blend in beautifully. Okay, now we're really about to finish. So, Islam in Canada, this is actually made, go back please. So this prayer rug is made by one of our sisters, and she's a professional weaver. And she learned how to weave from traditional weavers, and so she made this prayer mat. Now, I don't know if you like it or not. You might not think, well, I don't really like the colors, but this was made to fit First Nations, Native American symbolism and color. So to the First Nations of Canada, where she lives, this means the change of the seasons. See, so again, it's honoring them. And that's good for us. And it would be good for us also to learn, why does it mean the change of the symbols, of the seasons? What does the blue mean? What does the brown mean? What does the tree in the middle mean? Let's go to the next one. Also in Canada, you have a number of really beautiful mosques. And again, this is a very modern mosque, but then look at the inside, which is, you see, so they're doing incredible woodwork. And this woodwork also is Native American. And the carpenters are from the First Nations. In fact, a lot of them even became Muslims in doing the work. So again, honor the people around you. And I think it's very important for us to honor the people who are not privileged and who have been oppressed. The blacks, the First Nations, and others. Let's keep going. Okay, now we're just about ready to end. This is our wonderful brother, Azim Ibrahim. Some of you know him. Very Scottish, right? I don't think I said that right, but very Scottish, right? And so what are they wearing? That's of course a tartan, Scottish tartan. But which clan is that? That's not McGregor. That's not McGregor. That's not true. That's not. I'm trying to think of some other clans. Okay, what clan is that? Muslim clan. And this was authorized by Scottish Parliament as an official Muslim tartan. I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool. Let's go to the next one. See, so maybe you can go up just a little bit. That's the pattern. So it's got green, white, black, gold. Go back. Okay, so I can read the words beneath. Okay. So I can't really see it. Okay. So It says
blue represents the Scottish
blue
flag.
represents the Scottish flag.
Green represents Islam.
Green represents Islam. Okay, keep going. Read it for me, please.
5 white lines represent 5 pillars.
The 5 pillars, right? The white lines, okay? And the gold lines are the
6 gold lines represent the pillars.
of faith. Isn't that beautiful? And then what does it say at the very...
The black square represents the Kaaba.
The Kaaba. See, so that's really... That is living by the cultural imperative. And that is telling Scotland that we love you. And Muslims should, because Scotland's been really good to us. And usually the Scots and the Welsh and the Irish, they're a little bit better than their cousins. Well, they're not actually cousins, but the English. They really are. They're much more tolerant. Scots especially, they've been really good. And the Muslims of Scotland, in my very limited experience, are among the healthiest. And they're also among the most dynamic. Okay, let's go. So I think now we finished. And let's just open up for questions. We might not take too long. That sort of depends on you and what you want to ask. And then I think we might want to go home before it gets too late.